Hackathons. You may have heard of them. They're everywhere. Every college has one. Startups take part in them. Is it about hacking? Is it about ideas? What is it? To clear your doubts, we are going to talk about hackathons with Sameer and Animesh. They're both super seniors from PES. They're veterans at hackathons. They've won several competitions. And also, we'll be talking about PES Innovation Lab and their flagship hackathon, which is called HashCode, which is being held on the 23rd. So check it out, guys. All links in the description box below as well. Hi guys, I'm Varun.
I'm Kevin.
And this is PES Blog. Hello viewers, welcome to PES Blog. And today with us we have Animesh and Sameer. They're both alumni of PES and they're here with us to talk about hackathons. So hi guys, can you please introduce yourselves?
Okay, so hi guys, my name is Sameer. I passed out in 2019 from Electronics and Communication in PES University RR campus. And currently I work at Cadence Design Systems. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Animesh. I just graduated in the batch of 2020 and currently a research assistant at IISc.
Right. Okay, so now I start with the questions. So what is a hackathon?
Yeah. Okay, so we get that a lot from a lot of juniors as well. So I think this is a good platform to actually clear it out. Basically, a hackathon essentially involves crunching down on the creative and innovation process for any technology for that matter. And essentially, instead of doing something for a longer period of time to get results, you tend to crunch it up into like a shorter span of time. So you'll see hackathons which have like 24, 48, or 72 hours as the duration. The essential idea is you try to do something new, something innovative within that short span of time with all the time crunches and time-bound challenges which you have.
Right.
Okay. So why should we take part in hackathons? Like, what do we gain out of it?
Yeah, so honestly, the reason, well, I think I can speak for both of us on this, is when we initially started out with hackathons, we looked at it as an escape from the classroom environment completely. It was something, in the class, you have mostly theoretical oriented stuff and you have few lab practicals here and there. So it really didn't make sense to just keep learning theory and not having the opportunity to implement such things. So hackathons for me were like a very essential part to exploring a creative option or to go and do innovative things. So that was my personal take. But once I started beginning to take part in hackathons, I saw that not only was I able to basically upskill myself through all of these events, because each and every hackathon was different and each and every hackathon had different kind of tasks to be performed. But also it gave like you grew like a kind of community within the hackathon. So you could interact with participants who you would have never met otherwise. It's like a complete geek out session you would have with them. So that was my personal take from hackathons itself. Animesh, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, sure. The reason why I used to participate in hackathons, other than just to like take a break from college and things like that, was mostly to also just expose myself to new technology. Because some hackathons, they always have like the criteria of, oh, you're supposed to use so-and-so technology. You're supposed to use Kubernetes or Docker containers or so on and so forth. And basically forcing yourself to go for such hackathons just pushes you to actually learn things like that, which you wouldn't necessarily learn directly from college. And the other fun part is, of course, the connections you make. And one of the other main reasons that I used to participate was like the thrill of the challenge. Like you're just college students facing against like other startups and other companies and all those things. So that part is like always fun.
Okay. So when can I get started? When should I start doing hackathons? During the first year or later on? When's the best time?
Honestly, if you're looking to win the hackathon, maybe when you pick up a skill or two, which is like curtailed towards that hackathon, that would be a good time. But honestly, if you just want to go and have fun and meet new people, just start right away. I wouldn't say that there's anything which is stopping you from doing that. There's a lot of opportunity which you will get through hackathons, which you wouldn't get otherwise. So I'd say just go for it. If you want to do something cool, just go for it whenever you hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Just go as early as you can, whenever you can. Just balance it with the exam schedule. That's about
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
So what are the different kinds of hackathons, like Ideathons, hackathons? That's the two we've heard of, but is there any other types?
Okay, yeah. So I'll talk about the hardware ones, and maybe Animesh can talk about the software ones in more detail. So other than the hackathons and ideathons, which you've heard about, mainly you could see them classified into two broad aspects within hackathons themselves. The idea is when you see it's basically, it depends on the company, honestly. For example, companies like Robert Bosch, Honeywell, and Texas Instruments, they organize hackathons which are more hardware oriented because they sell hardware units. So for them, they want something to be innovative on the hardware end, and that's how they engage their audience. They would want a hackathon which is more curtailed towards innovation in hardware applications. That's mainly what we see in hardware hackathons. I could mention a little bit about ideathons. There, you're just pitching an idea essentially, where you don't have to have a full-fledged prototype working all the way through. It would be good if you have that. That's a bonus, but it's not a requirement. You can just have basically just a good enough idea to know what problem you're solving and how you're going to solve it. That's basically what an ideathon looks out for. In hackathons, that is basically like your qualifier, whatever you do in the ideathon. In the duration of the hackathon, you would end up working on the prototyping of your solution, and you're expected to make it look feasible by the end of the hackathon. So yeah, that's pretty much what we have for hackathons and ideathons. And I gave a gist about hardware hackathons. Yeah, Animesh, you take over for software ones.
Yeah, so software ones don't necessarily differ a lot from hardware hackathons as well. And usually, unless they mention specifically that they're only looking for software, you can always go with hardware solutions too for most hackathons. Although there are at times few hyper-focused hackathons, in the sense that it's from a company, they know exactly what they're looking for. They know what tools they want the end product to be made out of, and so on and so forth. So I think IBM did this once for one of their hackathons, where they're like, hey, use our cloud API to build something cool, like just different, basically.
Okay.
And so they mentioned that use so-and-so APIs, like use the Node.js API, use this API that we provide, and they'll give you credentials as well. And I think even Microsoft does this for, what was that on? CodeFundo plus.
CodeFundo.
So they're like, hey, use only Azure, make your solution on Azure, make your solution a cloud-based solution, like that. So unless the hackathon is extremely hyper-focused, where they tell you that, hey, use our API or use this technology, you can always go with like a broad range of solutions.
So how do you prepare for hackathons? Is there a preparatory time period we should take before starting out, or can we just go in directly?
So typically most hackathons which I've taken part in, they have a qualification round, and in that itself, you will end up preparing yourself for the hackathon duration altogether. So idealistically, since companies have very rigid requirements on what they want to see in the end prototype, accordingly, you would plan out your solution. For example, a lot of companies now, they're looking for theme specific hackathons designed around artificial intelligence and machine learning. So in those ones, if you have no idea about artificial intelligence and machine learning, you might think, oh no, I shouldn't take part. But the reality is you get a lot of time to actually think up your solution and what you want to do in the hackathon. So I'd say you can start afresh. You can completely like start blank with those two topics, and then go and present a solution. And if you get selected, you get the entire duration of the hackathon to work on it. So whenever you hear about it, it's best you start working on it immediately. The sooner you start working on it, the better advantage you have on your competitors. Whoever hear about the hackathon late, they tend to miss out on these opportunities. So yeah.
Yeah, and another thing is that hackathons are always like team focused. So even if you have no experience in the topic, just get someone who does. Like get someone on your team who does have experience there, and then you can sort of piggyback off their knowledge and then help them out during the hack itself. So that way you'll also learn the skill while not always completely knowing it, and you can like sort of take advantage of your team.
Okay.
And another small addendum to add to Sameer's thing in terms of preparing for a hackathon, the timing doesn't always matter, in the sense that timing doesn't matter for when you submit the idea. So in the qualification stage, they'll give like a week or two or so, and usually my advice, because I haven't gone for a hackathon but I've submitted before the deadline, is always work on your idea right up until the last minute. Like work on it right up until then, and then submit it, and then you can just hope for the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you guys get information about like hackathons that are coming up, or like does college provide it, or do you have some sources that you get to know from? Like,
so we are initially we got into hackathons through college hackathons itself. I think we found out from college itself was first. Otherwise, as a first year, I had no idea about hackathons to begin with. Like, where do you even start? I don't know. So I think for me, it was through college fests it started. But then after that, since I wanted more experience in this, I registered on platforms such as HackerEarth and TechGig. So HackerEarth is pretty good. I'd say it has, once I registered on it, every time a new hackathon pops up, they let me know in advance when the registration closes and everything. And like there is also this cool feature on HackerEarth, I'd say, where people who've won like a couple of hackathons on that platform, they get invited for like special hackathons, which is not open to public domain. So in that, you get to access more hackathons, which you would normally have access to if you were just like participating in one or two at a time. Other than that, yeah, TechGig is really good. That has a lot of hackathons on it. They have hackathons like are pretty much year round, so they keep putting notifications on whenever their hackathons also open up. I would mind you though, it does fill up your entire inbox quite fast. Like I think every day, I think I get like around 10 to 12 mails from hackathon companies. So because they want participants, right? So they'll look for people who've already taken part, and also they look for people who are already registered on their domain. So from my side, yeah, TechGig and HackerEarth are pretty good ones.
Right. Yeah, and for more college-oriented hackathons, there's also Devfolio, and I think Dare to Compete is also there. So usually a good way to go or like start out in hackathons is like through college-based hackathons, and then like start roaming around in HackerEarth and Devfolio and TechGig and so on.
Right, right.
Okay.
To what extent are hackathons part of PES Innovation Lab culture? So how ingrained is this hackathon culture in it?
I think we do organize our own flagship hackathon, which is called HashCode. But to be experienced enough to handle the hackathon, a lot of us have taken part in quite a few number of hackathons. Like between me and Animesh, I think we've taken part in approximately, I think 10 or 11 of them. And if I had to give a number on how many we've won, I think we won like 8 of them.
Oh, wow.
So 8 out of 11 is not too
Whoa.
bad. So
It's pretty good, actually.
yeah, so I think the Innovation Lab definitely did help in making the culture of innovation in itself. Like how the name goes, it started for me over there. Like had I not had that experience, I would have never been able to perform as well as in hackathons as I'm doing right now. So that's way I would say like a lot. We encourage participation throughout the board for everyone to take part, and we also make sure that in the hackathons which we do, we have like industries like contributing ideas as well. So that way we're not just focusing on just one subset where we're looking at students' problems. We're looking at problems which the industry also provides us, and then we get insights as to what we'd be working on if we do get selected to work with that particular company in the future. So that also is like a pretty sweet deal, I'd say, when it comes to hackathons in general. I would say like every year we have like at least 4 to 5 teams participating in hackathons, which is still pretty exciting, and we do win quite a few, so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like in terms of interns and like so PES Innovation Lab has that for the students by the students sort of functionality where you will be mentored by senior students, and the interns are also like first year or second year students more often. And so what tends to happen there is that even when me and Sameer were as interns, our senior mentors used to always encourage us, like, hey, you should always show off your idea, try to go for conferences, like paper conferences, try to go for hackathons, so on and so forth. And so we try to keep that saying alive. Like we tell our interns, like when we're mentors, we tell our interns that, hey, your idea is like pretty cool. You should try hitting hackathons with this idea, and so on and so forth. Or like, hey, this could be a good first paper that you could make, and then submit it to so and so conferences. And then we usually help them out for papers. At least we help them out with editing the papers and so on and so forth, and then trying to find appropriate conferences.
Right.
Yeah.
Or journals. Yeah.
So can you name a few hackathons that are really famous and that we should take part in? Like,
Oh, okay. Definitely first would be HashCode. That I would say is like it's if you get into HashCode, it's like really amazing, because personally I tried for HashCode 3 times, and those are the 3 which I never won. Meaning I never even qualified for the first round. So that's basically what I'm talking when it comes to HashCode. It's very difficult to get into, and you should be really blessed if you get the opportunity to take part in that. Other than HashCode, there are few which are organized in our sister college in EC campus as well. Then there are also ones in RV and MSRIT and BMS as well. So to get a good start on hackathons, college ones are the way to go. And it's a really good experience to be surrounded by them. Once you're comfortable with those, of course, it's no, you don't have to be in this order. Whatever opportunity you get, you just go for it. The one which is my personal favorite, which I go to every year. Well, sadly, this year we couldn't go because of COVID, but there is one which is called Code Gladiators, which is in Mumbai. So me and Animesh have been the runner-ups in that for the past 2 years. So that has quite a huge amount of competition happening for it. There are they have like theme-based hackathons. It's not just like one type. You have IoT, you have machine learning, you have blockchain, you have user interface, you have all different kinds of domains, and you can choose any one of them which you want to take part in. Preferably me and Animesh have been taking part in the IoT theme. So that's what our specialization is. So when it comes to that particular hackathon, the reason why I'd recommend it is, one, because those are not organized by colleges in any way or whatsoever. They're directly organized by the industry themselves. They put like insane amounts of funding into it. Like Reliance Jio has been the sponsor for the past 3 hackathons now, and they have been really like they create a really good atmosphere for your hackathon environment. All like if you manage to get to the finals, they like, at least for the past 2 years, what we've seen is we have seen our they've taken care of our complete accommodation in Mumbai. They hook us up in a 3-star to 5-star hotel. And on top of that, they take care of all the food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all the days of the hackathon. And they also go for there you get to like interact with all the industry people over there, and they hand out like internships left and right. So that's that happens quite frequently. So that is my favorite hackathon though. Yeah, like every year we make sure to take part in that one. Yeah, Animesh, do you have anyone?
Yeah,
more?
so just note that hackathon selections are a lot. They're a little weird in the sense that even if you have like an actual very good idea, it comes down to luck in a lot of places, especially crossing like that first qualifying phase where they ask for like a presentation or a document about your idea. Getting through that is there's a lot of luck randomly involved in it. So, and again, yeah, so first hackathons are usually college level ones are usually good. And if you can't always take part in like local colleges like MSRIT or PES or so on and so forth, if I'm not wrong, DevFolio usually has, and DevFolio and Dare to Compete usually have a list of college-based hackathons. Right. And those happen pretty frequently around from, I think, August, right? Somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
It usually happens.
Hackathon season is August to November mainly. So yeah.
Yeah. So from them, like a lot of colleges will randomly keep posting their site and be like, hey, yeah, take part in this, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are the requirements for hackathons? Like, is there some hardware or some knowledge you require?
So it tends to be hackathon specific. There's no like direct answer I can give you, but as long as you make your effort noticed, that's all that matters really. That if you get that point across, then you can easily impress anyone, even your fellow competitors and the judges as well. Like we've always faced this challenge where, you know, we think that we have lesser experience compared to the other competitors, especially since a lot of them tend to come from an industry background. And sometimes we've even gone toe to toe with startups who have like backing of like at least 12 or 14 crores to back up their product. So in those kind of situations, it's very tight to actually compete. But even in those ones, since we try to make sure that we get our point across and we focus only on what we want to do, that's how we end up winning a few of them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like the main requirement, like regardless of what your idea is or how well you worked on it, is just to be noticed. Like the judges should notice your presence in the room, so to speak, or in the Zoom meeting in this case. So it's there are like really simple ways to do it. You can just the easiest way that I've found, at least from my experience, is asking questions. Like just asking questions about either the resources that they provided. And I think this worked out well in a G hackathon that I randomly went for with one of the juniors from PIL. So there they were providing us an interface for Kubernetes and Docker. An interface for Kubernetes. They were allowing us to deploy our software on their Kubernetes cluster. So the easiest way that our team got noticed is that I just kept asking Kubernetes questions, and they're just like, oh wow, so you know Kubernetes? I'm like, yeah, I have some experience with Kubernetes. And they're like, oh, are you like a college student or like which then yeah, I am a college student. Like, oh, cool. And then like from like that he noticed me basically, like because he asked me a follow-up question, so he noticed me. And even when we reached like towards the end, he again said, yeah, this is a good idea, and so on and so forth. So like getting noticed is like imperative in a hackathon, regardless of how good or bad you think your idea is, or regardless of how much effort you put into it, you have to get noticed.
Right. All right. So what is HashCode and how to apply for it?
Right. So HashCode is a full-fledged hackathon which we hold for college students. It's not just PES university students. We have them from all over Bangalore, essentially. So we as members of the PES Innovation Lab, we hold it every single year, and it's our flagship hackathon. And a lot of students and teachers are involved in making the process happen. So essentially, the registration for the hackathon happens usually in the month of October to November. But due to COVID, we've pushed it this year to January. January, maybe mid or end, is when you will start seeing the applications coming up for this particular hackathon. And Animesh, where can they register for it again?
So if I'm not wrong, there's the Dare to Compete link that's been floating around, hopefully been floating around through all the WhatsApp messages and so on and so forth. So yeah, so just click on there and they have nice instructions that mention how to submit the idea, when the deadline will be there, and what the topics are more or less.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there anything unique about this year's HashCode? Do you have a specific theme for this year's HashCode or?
Right. So compared to previous year's HashCodes, we have the companies themselves coming up with problem statements. So our two sponsors, Red Hat and Nokia, they've given problem statements for this year's hackathon, and they have accordingly funded the prize pool for those as well. Wow. So that's how, so this year is going to be a little bit more intense because compared to previous years, it was basically open innovation. Where you could come in with any idea and you'd be evaluated on those ideas essentially. But in this year's hackathon, since we have a mix of both, we have open innovation as well as the company-based problem statements. We are hoping that you find it more exciting, and hopefully it should be something which everyone can enjoy. And also, unlike other hackathons, one thing which we do is, for example, me and Animesh are now seniors, but we actually get to choose mentors for the teams who will be participating in the hackathon. So, for example, if the team who comes in with an idea is based somewhat on IoT or machine learning, I will be personally guiding that team in order to make their idea more full-fledged in the duration of the hackathon. And similarly, if something comes for Android applications, IoT, ML, Animesh is just a full stack basically. So if anything, and cloud security and network dev. So if anything comes in that, Animesh would be handling that. Similarly, we have many seniors who are now placed in companies such as Citrix, Cisco, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, who will also be guiding all the participants in the hackathon. So that's one thing which we like to have in our entire hackathon as well.
Right.
And the other unique thing, which is currently unfortunately enforced by the ongoing pandemic, is that this is going to be purely online. All of these mentor sessions and guidance sessions and judging will all happen through online presentations, which hopefully it will be smooth.
Yeah.
So thank you viewers for watching this video, and thank you so much Sameer and Animesh for taking part in this interview. Your inputs have been valuable, and HashCode looks like a really fun hackathon. So thank you guys.
And viewers, if you want to watch our next video, it's going to be about PES Innovation Lab. So be sure to watch that too.
There's also a link down below for our PES Freshers Instagram page and Discord. And there's also one for our Instagram page on this channel, PES Blog. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video,
like, share, and click here to subscribe.